Good morning, Cluster, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, 10:30 in the morning, where we examine questions, comments, headlines, topics, ideas, suggestions, anything you may have on your mind, and anything we can find in the in the local news. I'm sorry. I'm reacting to your comments, even though we haven't gotten to that just yet. But you guys are amazing. Anyhow, we get together here every day. We share comments, news, headlines, questions, topics, suggestions, ideas, anything that can help us have a most awesome life here in Puerto Vallarta, in sunny Puerto Vallarta. That's what Julie McCoy used to call it in the Love Boat. As a community of English-speaking locals. Yes, we love our tourists. Yes, we love the travelers, but we are mostly a bunch of friendly folks that are trying to make the best out of living in Puerto Vallarta on a full-time basis. Some of us are planning to retire here soon and are looking for good information. Some of us are just wondering where the nearest beach can be found, and we try to divert those questions to the more tourist-oriented websites and bulletin boards and so forth. But for the time being, this is what we do. This is who we are. And we are going to start today, as always, taking a look at who's in the house. And I'm looking for a couple of particular people because I have personalized surprises. 2 headlines came to me, and I figured, these people would like to hear about them. But let's find out. Anaheim is in the house, which is a good thing. David is in the house. How are you, David? Oh, my God. Yes, today is Friday. Friday the 19th. Our favorite panadero con el pan, our favorite baker is here from Versalles. Kelly, it's always great to see you, particularly when it comes time to go and feed the horses in el grullo. No, not el grullo. El jorullo. Because Kelly is one of the very nice folks that has helped us fundraise money to help us feed the horses in el jorullo, so that the people that provide horseback riding tours there can continue to work through the pandemic. And we're going to be doing that this weekend, and that's always fun. I am looking for cues, of course. If you have any important questions or comments that you wish to share during the broadcast, a cue before your comment always helps. My musical doctor, Mark Hartman, is in the house. I am so sorry you left. But I am sure you'll come back soon, my dear Mark. You are always in my thoughts, especially when I hear music that I need to dissect with you. Or when I go, wouldn't it be great if there was an awesome pianist in the house? I'm going to answer this question, although it's not related to the program, but this is what made me laugh earlier. And the answer, my dear James, is no. You can keep him to himself. Thank you very much. Let's see. Oh, California's in the house. Hola, Miguel Rodriguez Gomez. ¿Cómo estás? Jill asks, can we find YouTube archives related to topic looking for the bargaining tip? We haven't talked about the bargaining tip just yet. And you're the second person that has asked me about it. And I promised we would talk about bargaining tips last Saturday, or was it Sunday? And we might as well just talk about this tomorrow because people keep asking about it. Tomorrow, we will discuss bargaining tips, or regatear, as we call it here in Spanish. Portland is in the house. It's great to see you, Susan. Bim, ba bum, 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 bum. Shum, bada, boom, boom, boom. Minnesota's in the house. That's awesome. Let's see. La Cruz is in the house. Um, Robert says, I might be coming to get out of Texas. You know, it is Texas. We wish to send all kinds of good vibes to Texas because it's still very cold over there. Let's see what else we have. Another question: do I have any input in on San Miguel de Allende? Oh, do I ever? Oh my God, do I ever? San Miguel de Allende in the state of Guanajuato is, let's just say, had San Miguel de Allende had a beach, I would have ended up moving to San Miguel de Allende 20 years ago when I first decided to come back to live in my homeland, in my home country. San Miguel de Allende is the most beautiful place in the world. I haven't been in a couple of years because of the pandemic, but it is absolutely gorgeous. One of these days, Jesse, keep pushing my button and we will talk at length about this beautiful destination here in Mexico that is quite popular with the English speaking community, by the way. Rita says, we looked for Closure on Amazon Prime last night and had trouble finding it. Can you provide name, director, more info? I will gladly do that. I will put the link for Closure, the movie, which features my niece Katia Ojeda on the lead. I will provide the information on the show notes today. Thank you very much. Liz says she found Closure on Prime in Canada. This is awesome. I think what's going to end up happening is we will all watch it as a homework assignment, and then we will get the producers in for an interview, and hopefully they'll answer some fascinating questions about how the movie was made. Janet, gotta love the spelling correctors. Is the big market open at Olga's Altis on Saturday? That's as good as my Spanglish gets. And yes, the answer, Janet, is yes. I hear that the market is operating normally. Other folks that couldn't find Closure, so I'll get in touch with the folks responsible to see what's going on. Is there any way for past episodes to be listed by date/day? I missed a Walking Wednesday and can't seem to find it. Well, it's all quite simple, Pat. You see, all the episodes are listed by date on the website, paco-ojeda.com, and that's where you can find them and you can look at them by date. They are always displayed in chronological order. Steve says he watched Closure last night on Prime. Yay, yay. I'd love to hear your comments when we get to discuss the film here at Coffee and Headlines. And Susan wants to know if old people get into Home Depot right now. I assume you're talking about Home Depot here in Puerto Vallarta, and the answer is yes. As far as I know, I am not Home Depot, but I haven't heard any reports that say anything to the contrary. So now that we're here and on board, all 72 of us, it is great to see you all as always. We have a lot of news to go through. Some of them have to do with the current weather situation in Texas and how it's affecting affecting Mexico. We also we also have some news about corruption, or lack of thereof. Is there corruption in Puerto Vallarta? Is there not corruption in Puerto Vallarta? Well, it depends on who you ask, and today we're going to get into that. And we are going to also take a look at some mindless but funny news items as always. So let's get started. So how much does Mexico depend on natural gas? We start by taking a look at how the weather in Texas is affecting our country in ways you may not have even thought about, above and beyond the power outages we experienced at the beginning of the week. This, of course, is keeping in mind that in Mexico, 60% of natural gas is used to generate electricity. 30% is used in industry, and the remaining 10% is used at home. And no, Mexico does not produce all that natural gas. A lot of it gets imported from the United States, and the shortages that Texas is experiencing are having an effect on us. For example, we see that in Guadalajara, many public buses are being affected due to the lack of natural gas to power them. In Guanajuato, for example, General Motors, Honda, Toyota, Mazda, and Ford and Volkswagen all have manufacturing factories and assembly factories in Guanajuato, and they have had to stop operating their assembly lines. How large is the operation there? Well, just consider that the automobile industry cluster in Guanajuato represents 17% of Mexico's gross domestic product, and it generates 195,000 jobs. And they have had to stop working because we are not getting enough natural gas from the state of Texas in the United States. And in Puerto Vallarta, as we know, the local bus company Unibus has had problems with natural gas for some time, or lack of thereof, to power the bus fleet. And these problems are likely to continue and even worsen as the natural gas shortage continues. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has banned the exports of natural gas until normal power supply is restored in the state of Texas. So this is all amazing to think about how something that is happening elsewhere has such an effect in what's going on here. The next website that I want to, or the next news item that I want to share, has to do with the president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who every morning holds a press conference early in the morning. We call it La Mañanera. La Mañanera is kind of like the morning something. In fact, a lot of people joke with the phrase. And when you say, vamos a echarnos un mañanero, that means like early morning pickle tickle kind of thing. Well, our president, he has his daily mañanera conference. And in a recent one, a reporter broached the subject of local interest. Judith Sanchez brought up the proliferation of large apartments, towers, being developed in Puerto Vallarta, mentioning a specific development in Conchas Chinas, where a 14-story tower is having adverse environmental effects. So she asks the president, Mr. President, what does the Federation do about these types of abuses by developers and construction companies? And President of Mexico, AMLO, of course, responded that it is the state's authorities that grant construction permits, but it also has to do with Semarnat, the Secretary of the Environment and National Resources. And I pointed you the Semarnat offices at a walking tour not too long ago. And then he also said that he would ask Social Development Secretary Maria Luisa Albores to look into the situation. But then the reporter pushed, and the reporter added that there are several constructions that have been reported, local constructions that have been reported with Semarnat. And Miguel González Guerra, who wrote this article for Tribuna de la Bahía, also mentioned that the Conchas Chinas Neighborhood Association reports there are 9 buildings that do not have an environmental impact study in place. How interesting that the president of Mexico would be broached about this very particular subject. Now, I don't know if the next headline that I'm going to show you is a coincidence or not, but I read it yesterday at the same time or shortly thereafter. But there was this other headline from a different news source where we learned that there are no corruptions related to unlawful construction projects in Puerto Vallarta. This is according to Gerardo Ignacio de la Cruz Tovar, who is, he's in charge of Jalisco's anti-corruption department at the state attorney's office, and he has apparently been working in Puerto Vallarta for a year, analyzing claims and reports. And this is the guy that tells us, no, nobody has submitted any complaints about unlawful construction in Puerto Vallarta. Mushi is laughing, and I think she's laughing about everything that we're reporting. Anyhow, this guy says, oh no, we don't have any corruption reports about buildings being constructed. We have corruption reports about other things. But this guy says he doesn't have any reports. We also know that he has been working hand in hand with Puerto Vallarta Mayor Arturo Dávalos and his staff to ensure that the different dependencies in municipal government work as transparently as possible, and without corruption. Isn't that funny? So, is there corruption or is there no corruption? I guess it depends on who you ask. From my little person perspective, you know, for example, with all the openings and closings of businesses and all the things that the local reglamentos office does, and what my friends tell me about what they're supposed to do or not supposed to do in their businesses, according to the little reglamentos minions that come and visit. This what I'm going to tell you now is not an official news item, but somebody, it was Mark Rome, who manages music artists at the Palm, who told me that some reglamentos person came the other day and said, oh, you can only have one live show a week. Yes, you heard that right. One live show a week. And that is absolutely absurd because we know what the guidelines are because we read them in the state website that tells us exactly what live performance venues can and cannot be doing right now. But then, of course, the little minion came back later on and changed his story. He said, oh, no, you can have more than one show a week, but you have to do this and no, and not do that, and so forth and so on. Excuse me. The inconsistencies are amazing. So, is there corruption? Is there not corruption? Are people reporting or not reporting corruption? It really depends on who you ask. There are some people that fear for their lives. And I've gotten some reports from people that I know and people that know me and appreciate me that say, well, Paco, you may want to keep your comments keep certain comments you make in mind just in case. And we know that Mexico has huge history of violence against reporters and whatnot. I don't think anybody's going to come find me, but I do know that a lot of private citizens might feel fearful about the repercussions of reporting something if they have evidence that something corrupt is going on. But I still want to share this with you because what I asked my friend, the reporter who wrote about the work that this guy De La Cruz Tovar has been doing is, well, did you happen to ask him, he says there is no corruption in building construction, but did you happen to ask him where one can go and make a report should there be any corruption? And my friend, the reporter, said, no, I didn't think to ask him that. And I went, da. What do we do if we think there is corruption? So I did a little bit of homework, as we do here at Coffee and Headlines, and I went and found out his own personal information. Again, his name is Gerardo Ignacio de la Cruz Tovar, and he is the attorney in charge of corruption in the state of Jalisco. And we went as far as finding the actual website where you can report corruption of any kind if you find corruption of any kind. You go into this website, and there he is again with his credentials, and then there's the place. So let us report some corruption. Actually, we're not going to report anything. I just want to click on the button so you can see what happens. Yes, you have to give them your name. You have to give them an email address. You have to give them a telephone number. And then you have to make your denuncia. And then you can actually submit scans of documents in case you want to submit them as part of your corruption report. Now, are we going to start doing this or not? I don't have the answer to that question. All I can do is put the information at your disposal so that you can use it as you see fit. Let me take a quick look at some of your comments. And there's a lot of cues going on here, so let me take them little by little. San Miguel walking tour. Mushi, darling, you pay for my bus, you pay for my travel expenses, and you pay for my food. And I would love to travel to San Miguel de Allende and do a walking tour. Let's see what else we have. We've done this already. Ligia asks, Paco, did you post San Sebastian video? I missed it. The answer is, Ligia, I never finish that video. Shame on me. And time went by, and then I figured, oh my gosh, well, I might as well just go back to San Sebastian again. And now everything seems to be the case that I'm going to be going back to San Sebastian and really, really, for real, no promises, making a video. Uh, JD Luis lets us know about their new Elixir bar on Basilio Vadillo. Thank you very much for for letting us know. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. And thank you very much for not bombarding the conversation with publicity, which is something that we try to avoid here. I have not heard about Elixir, but I will put it on my list and I will so gladly go take a look at it since you are here and you are part of this cluster and you've taken the time to let us know about it. In fact, JD Luis, if you want to leave us your Facebook page, we will gladly add it to the show notes today. We're so very happy to encourage people to check out new businesses, of course. Cruise ship today, empty, most likely, David, as they usually do repositioning, and they're just getting their supplies and so forth and so on. Logan chimes in on the lack of buses this week, and of course, we know what's going on with the buses and the lack of natural gas. Let's see. Angelica mentions a very popular saying in Mexico, con dinero baila el perro, with money, the dog dances. And there's a second part to that saying, sin dinero, bailas como perro. Without money, you end up dancing like a dog. So it's not a good thing. Larry says that just means he got paid. And I don't know exactly who Larry is referring to. And that is part of the point that we're trying to make. Do we believe reglamentos? Do we believe this corruption dude? Do we believe the mayor? Do we believe the reporter that was at the press conference with the president? Do we believe the president? I mean, there are no clear and easy answers for these kinds of situations. Evil. Susie teases me with Butterfinger nest eggs in Walmart in San Diego. You know, I would almost want to go to Walmart in town just to see if they have them here. And Miguel is also laughing about the whole corruption ordeal. I'm looking at all your responses. Ten cuidado, Paco. Well, as usual, Dave, we try to provide the information. We don't go digging because you are right. Paul brings up another point. Is it corruption or poor training in communication with reglamentos? And I'm inclined to believe, because we know who these people are. We've seen them going in and out of businesses, and they are probably not the most cultured individuals when it comes to having gone to school and understanding how to deal with businesses and how to interact and how to put it bluntly, do their job. So I think, Paul, it's a very valid point, and it is not one with a simple answer. Claude says, if I ever need to hide, we have a spare room for you. Oh, that would be so sweet. You know, I may not want to hide, but some night I may want to go play slumber party with you guys because we have the best pajamas. I've seen photos. Let's see. Oh, JD has shared the Facebook page for Elixir Mixology Bar. I'm going to be in the hood today. Maybe I'll stop by and have an early cocktail. No promises, but I have walking tour missions to accomplish today. Oh my goodness. Poor training and lack of oversight opens the door to all kinds of abuse. Absolutely. Maria Leonor, my sister, my sister says there are probably reports, complaints, and so forth and so on in media outlets, but that is not to denounce officially. And what these folks from the state's attorney's office are looking for are people that will officially denounce something. Dave can't go to San Sebastian too often, and that makes two of us. I love San Sebastian. Let's see. I'd like to see a dancing dog. Any YouTube videos out there? I'll add that to my homework. And and Michael is watching videos on how to make Butterfingers. You guys are evil. I love it. Mitsuko asks, what about a Costco tour? Not allowed. You're not the first person to bring this up. there are differences apparently between the way Costco's are organized in the United States and the products that they sell and the one here in town. One of these days, I might sneak in with my camera until somebody busts me and says, "What are you doing, dude?" And at that point, I will just sheepishly say, "No, comprendo." And I will keep walking. But before we do that, how about we take a look at the weather? It is 25 degrees right now. It is 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Snarky Weather says if the weather outside is frightful, just flee to Cancun. Too funny. Humidity is low, 44%. Great day for walking out and about if you're in town. And the weather forecast for today, it's going to be a clear day with a high temperature of 27, low temperature 18. Tomorrow, clear throughout the day, high temperature 27, low temperature 18. And on Sunday, clear throughout the day. It's horse feeding day for me and for Logan and for me. It's going to be high temperature of 28, low temperature 18. So it's a good weekend all around. And we discussed this the other day, and I am so very happy for that. I see. Can I put the tickle phrase in the show notes, please? The pickle, the tickle phrase. Oh, la mañanera. Yeah, absolutely. I just said it, and I will put it in the show notes. Absolutely, we can do that. Who doesn't enjoy a mañanera? Absolutely. Gary laughs with no comprende, and Jesse Shep laughs with my no comprende, and I think that is absolutely funny. I see comments about Ted Cruz, but we're going to continue forward with our programming, which has more to do with Puerto Vallarta than Ted Cruz. And what we have now is good news about the El Salado Estuary. And those good news. Oh, Michael, you are here. I have been waiting for you to appear because I have a news item just for you, but not yet. First, please know that rehabilitation of El Salado Estuary here in Puerto Vallarta is finally scheduled to begin. This intention was announced back in August 2019. So it's a good thing it's finally happening. What's going to happen? Well, it is expected that the work to be accomplished includes to clearly identify the estuary boundaries, to improve its access, keeping universal accessibility in mind, to promote the estuary as a source of environmental education, and to renovate its public spaces to benefit residents and visitors. This makes me wonder, of course, if I should go and take my walking tour or wait until remodeling gets done. Of course, if remodeling was announced 2 years ago and they're just getting started, I may end up doing my walking tour in 5 years from now. So we might as well schedule a walking tour over there, sometime in the near future. Another big good news that will take place this coming week at City Hall, where where the installation of a much anticipated elevator will finally take place. This after more than 10 years in the planning at a cost of 1.5 million pesos. The project will allow people with accessibility issues to reach the building's second story, and construction is expected to take no more than 3 months. That's what they said about all the remodeling that's going on in the laterals of Francisco Medina Asensio Avenue, but you know how those things go here. And moving on into the totally mindless, I suppose this deserves a little bit of explanation. When we go watch films, the films are filmed at 24 frames per second, and that is enough frames per second so that our eyes can dissolve the individual frames and turn them into moving action. Some filmmakers have been criticized for trying to make their films look too real by showing them at a higher frame rate. Now, this is difficult to explain, and it's something that you can more easily appreciate when you're watching a video that is from the past and is remastered to look like a video from the present. And that is exactly what happened with our dear Rick Astley. as in never gonna give you up, Rick Astley. Do you remember Rick Astley? Where were you when Rick Astley was 21 and he released his first single, Never Gonna Give You Up, back in 1987? The single brought much success to the singer, who is from Britain, and he's also a radio personality. But now, the original music video, which was as cheesy and old fashioned as it gets, has been remastered at 60 frames per second in 4K resolution, and it looks eerily current. I mean, I went and looked at the video, and in my itty bitty computer screen, and you're going to be able to do this when you take a look at the show notes. It looks creepy because it's like too much detail in Rick Astley's moves. It's too funny. So you have to go watch and travel in time. Some of you may not have even been born, but you want to go watch this video. And of course, Michael asks, do I have crocodile news? And yes, I have crocodile news. These have absolutely nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta, but Michael, please know that I have the entire cluster in my mind. And when I go looking for news, I think about all of you, you know? So, Michael, in case you decided to feed your crocodiles any shoes, bad idea. There is a video of this Florida. I think she was in Florida. Yes, she was in Florida. This crocodile decided to eat a shoe and then regurgitated it and then ate it again, and the whole thing just went south. And I don't mean that literally. Well, I sort of do. The poor crocodile had to be cracked open to have the shoe removed, go through surgery, and so forth. The shoe came out intact, but I hope that this crocodile learned a valuable lesson. And of course, the last bit of news that I have is thinking of everyone, but of course, thinking of our dear friend Candace, who is always reminding us of the importance of considering not eating so much meat. And we get this fabulous article from Vox about how our meat consumption poses a major threat for biodiversity, and this could lead to habitat loss for 17,000 species by 2050. Well, we may not be around by then, but it's amazing to think that today, as developing countries get richer, they tend to eat more meat, and meat production, especially beef and lamb, requires a lot of land, more land than any other protein. And the increasing global demand for meat means that the industry is constantly looking for more farmland, and using more farmland means that there are less spaces for natural animals to develop. If you're curious about this connection, well, then you can read all about this article. And this brings us pretty much to the end of our broadcast, not without taking a quick look at your final comments, of course. Let's see what we have. Ba-ba-dim bam bam bam. Bidim bam 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 bam. Let's see. Raymond, you are such a punster. Elevators have their ups and downs. I want to have coffee with you, Raymond, just because you would totally delight me with all those things that come out of your mouth. I love it. Lots of comments about this song. Let's see. Oh, please. All the poor crocodile wanted was some fillet of soul. Love it. Love it. Okay, so we don't have any more important comments. So this is probably a good time to wrap things up. As always, I am so very grateful for your company and your suggestions and your support and everything you bring to nurture this community. So if you would like to consider becoming a supporting member, here's the place to go. And of course, I hope to see you soon. Between now and the next time we get together, stay kind. Throw your shoes in the trash. If you have something to complain about, file an official report. Try going vegetarian for a week. What else can I suggest? Just stay friendly, stay kind, stay awesome as you always are. And come back soon. Luna, do you want to say goodbye? A quick Luna farewell? She's like, oh, fuck this. I'm too busy putting together the show notes, which, of course, will be ready for you shortly. So have a great day, and I'll see you soon.